Hey guys, it's Saru, and I figured I'd end the year with a bang. I decided to hop into an old flame, if you could call it that, more like revisiting PTSD, and visited Revelation Online. I wanted to check it out after so many years of not having played it. It's been well over 5 years actually. I figured this was probably a good time to see what's new, if the localization has been fixed or changed, if the pay to win has been adjusted, if the new content was crazy, and mostly just to kind of see how the population is doing in the game. I mean, it's been 5 years, almost 6 years now, and the game is still up, so maybe something is being done right. So I'll be checking it out, and hopefully this yields some surprising results, and who knows how this may go. So let's get right into it. So before I begin, I did say that I wanted to check out the population, and unfortunately there is no easy way to do that since the game is both on Steam and its own platform on the My Games launcher. It used to be called my.com launcher, my launcher, whatever it was so many years ago, but the Steam version came out later on, so everybody was kind of on the my.com version, and then it kind of came out later on. And secondly, this video is sponsored by Windscribe. If you're looking for a quality VPN that doesn't collect your data and quite frankly has some of the best memes and stuff that I have ever seen, this is probably the VPN for you. The company has focused on not spending a dime on advertising and rather letting the product speak for itself, and hopefully with the help of people that like it, they'll kind of tell others and share that along. But yeah, I mean, I've been using Windscribe since 2017, whether it's been for Netflix or needing to play a game in another region or simply to become one with the Caribbean brothers. It's been a pleasant experience. Plus, it's incredibly cheap. You can go for a pro plan with yearly, and it's literally $9 a month. Or if you want to pay for it for the whole year, it's $69. And if you want to build your own plan because you don't really want all the pro features, you can do it just starting at $1 per location. So if you're interested, check it out in the description below. It's a Canadian company, so I'm proudly supporting them because I'm up here in Canada, so there you go. So, Revelation Online. So if you're someone that's been here with me for a while, then it's no secret that I have some, let's call it memories of Revelation Online. The game was created by NetEase, and I figured since Justice Online is all the talk of the town, all the rage, or the bee's knees as the kids call it, I figured I'd check out the MMORPG that they created and released right before Justice Online. In fact, just a little fun fact for everybody, when they released Revelation Online, they immediately started working on Justice Online. So this might give you a little insight on how things work for NetEase. Now, bear with me, I haven't played this game in more than half a decade, so I remember very little of it in its game systems and features. I do know there was action combat, I do know that there was tab targeting, and it was actually kind of a hybrid system because you could do action combat with a little bit of tab targeting, kind of mix it up. I don't really remember, but I'm gonna go in like a brand new player, and if things come back, then things come back. But I do have some recollection of the things that made me quit within the first year of the game, so we'll see how that goes. So starting the game, I immediately was shown the North American servers and the European servers. I do remember there were actually more servers within these regions themselves, but I recall being in Snowpine myself. This was the server that I pretty much petitioned and tried to get all the players that were only interested in PvE to come join, because Snowpine was a server that was an open world PvP like Darkfall was, where you could just walk around, people could kill you. And at that time, even though I didn't really mind open world PvP, I didn't really have the computer for it. I had a really bad system that I ran everything with like 10 FPS maybe if I was lucky. So I went to the Snowpine server and I immediately went in and saw a familiar face. Though I wasn't sure why I had another character with the same name, I just kind of went with it. I actually think I remember they had like multiple servers and then they kind of merged them all into Snowpine, and if you had different characters with the same name, they would just kind of be there until you collected it. I don't remember. I actually don't remember what happened, but I have two characters with the same name for some weird reason. So I decided to check out the classes because maybe a new class was available. I remember the very last class that came out that was around the time where I was going to quit was the Assassin class, and as far as I was aware, there was a brand new update called the Demonic Wars update, which I didn't read anything about it. I didn't look into it whatsoever. I just looked at the launcher and it said Demonic Wars update, and I was like, okay, well, let's check it out. So I mean, you never know, there might be a new class. So I went in and checked out the classes, and immediately I noticed that this was pretty similar to the last thing that I saw when I was last playing the game like 5 years ago. There was a Sword Mage, which is a class that's based around using spells, and Astral Blades, which just a fancy way of saying magic blades, I guess. The Blade Master, which was a quick warrior class pretty much. The Vanguard, which was a strong tank class. The Gunslinger, which shoots people with guns. The Spirit Shaper, which was the poor man's version of Terror Summoner. The Occultist with its edgy aura and scythe, and one could actually call this weapon also a grappling hook. And lastly was the Assassin, which was a quick class that stabs people with the ferocity of a kitten hearing a can of tuna being opened, and honestly kind of damages about the same. So I decided to go with Sword Mage because this was actually the class that I originally went with back in 2017, and I think I did this for beta and then I switched over to Blade Master or something like that. I don't really remember, but I eventually switched over to Blade Master for some reason. I don't know, it's been a long time. The character customization was pretty basic, and honestly I wasn't sure if the graphics were this low before or if I had some sense of Mandela effect and things looked differently in my mind, but I wasn't particularly enjoying what the graphics look like, or at least kind of the aesthetic, with a very big cartoony kind of feel about it. I created a character and checked out how deep the customization would go, and at least for hairstyles it wasn't really all that great. The facial and body customization, however, is a different story. You could really change things around and make your character as unique as you wanted, or a monstrosity if you really want to. Also, the music that played in the background really brought me back to the old days of Yonder. It really gave me a nostalgic feeling where, I don't know, I think like a good memory would be where I was fighting with my.com because it took them a month to move my character due to a bug that I was stuck in. I could never log back in, and after the GMs finally moved my character, I was immediately banned from the game the moment I logged in because I had teleported apparently, even though it was the GMs that teleported me. And then I was pretty much told to either wait it out or pay $10 to get unbanned. Good memories, oh goodness. Revelation Online. So I created my character and we went into the game. Now, much like the game I had left before this, at one point, Blade and Soul, my character also woke up in a random bed confused. I noticed immediately that the game had either forgotten to pay its voice actors, or it recently watched Swords of Legends Online gameplay in English dub and decided to leave it out completely, probably for the best. I thought it was an error on my part, that maybe it was in the system setting somewhere. That was not the case. Apparently there just was no English dub whatsoever, which was surprising. Nonetheless, the game settings were there and they were pretty self-explanatory. The UI felt a little familiar, a little too familiar I'll say, but I'll leave that topic be and we'll just skim that through. Now I find it really cool that there are game filters that were available for players to use within the graphics settings in case they wanted to try something different, like a different color palette or a different color filter on their game. Within the game it's called a color filters. 5 years and you guys couldn't spell filters right, huh? But yeah, I mean, other than that, the UI was self-explanatory. The UI elements, like the menu, was nice to look at. I like the escape button. I don't have any other comments for that, like I'm not being sarcastic, I just like the little animation, and thus began my adventure. I checked out the online reward, and I guess this was simply incentive to kind of stay logged in or logging in daily, as well as being rewarded for passing certain thresholds like activity-wide or levels, and immediately I had received a temporary costume, and I looked rather dapper. I was now ready for the adventure of a lifetime, though I was a bit sad that it had to be within my lifetime, but alas, we were getting through it. And I found out as we started this adventure that if you press Ctrl F, much like in a browser where you can find an item, or on Discord where you can find receipts of people and their chat history, here you can use it to find your way around this experience. I appeared in Emerald Falls out of the blue, which I guess would have been explained had I read the dialogue with the other NPCs in Snowing Blossom Paradise. So sorry, my bad. That's another game. That's not actually what this place is called. This part was pretty fun. I spoke to many other NPCs and they were kind of just chatting with me, and I had learned how to press left click and right click on a target, and I felt mesmerized. That's when I noticed the dialogue option while talking to an NPC. I thought that was a pretty neat system personally, and apparently I'm easily amused, but you can pause the dialogue, you can skip it, and you can hide it altogether. But unfortunately I just spammed F like no tomorrow. Now, crossing these green fields of nostalgic depression, I remembered a very different scenario back in 2017. Back then, hundreds of players swarmed this area trying to kill these beetles and deforesting the hell out of these flower things. Unfortunately, 5 years later, the only deforestation that I had noticed was the population, but perhaps I was being a bit too harsh this early. I collected the remnants of a tragic past in the shape of leaves, I think, and beat the shit out of these ugly ass beetles. And luckily soon after, thanks to me talking to this lady that had clearly listened to Shakira before, I was able to learn how to run. Little did I know that I should have used this newfound ability to run away from the game in general, but we are powering through, friends. I started jumping with the passion of a Bengal cat attacking its prey, and was quickly reminded of this absurd stamina system that still exists, which limits your ability to run, jump, and dash. Eventually I crash landed into a town like so. The cool thing is that Master Roshi called to me like a siren to a sailor, and I sat there with my fellow NPCs learning how to use the Kamehameha wave. Not long after, I had learned how to bypass the stamina system and jump across populated cities by simply entering a cutscene. I met a nice fella, clearly a fan of the Kingdom Hearts series, who vomited, and I gave him some medicine. As time went on, I beat up some crabs, and I was hoping that I could see a major city soon so that I could feel either ashamed for my sarcasm or feel worse for kicking a horse while it's down. After beating up more crabs and meeting Mulan's matchmaker, it suddenly became nighttime and I set off some fireworks. For some reason I became an angel and flew as if I had already known deep inside of my heart that I was an angel already. David Angel. I chased down a feather and touched it, which took me back to Snowy Blossom Paradise, where I was able to meet other angels. I talked to this lady in front of me and I became a superhero. At least that's the vibe that I got from the music score. Thanks to my expertise in angel flying, I was given a directive to fly a ship of some sorts, and much like the magical scene around me, I didn't have to aim at anyone or any other ship because I magically destroyed the ships just by clicking anywhere. I have to say, however, these angel people were very lucky that I was there, because not soon after, enemies appeared out of thin air. I started using my new skills and powers to click random buttons on my keyboard, to be perfectly honest, and I defeated anyone that stood in my way. Now a bad angel fella came down from the sky and challenged me, a new superhero that had arrived in this city not even 3 minutes ago. But his confidence was his downfall, guys, because as his army of angel friends stood behind him, just staring at nothing, I used all of my skill to beat the hell out of him. Unfortunately, after doing so, I was immediately defeated by the next boss, Cutscene Chan. Aaron laid a bunch of pigeons eating what I hope are animal crackers, but one can't really tell with his fidelity. Luckily, I woke up in another bed with the Shakira NPC just staring at a table, and even though her name was Nythea or Nythea, can't really tell you, her name on top of her head was Sister. So Sister Nythea, which sounds awfully close to Shakira. Now there is where I saw it, from the corner of my eye, the first real life person to speak in the world chat. I immediately looked them up and clicked on their name and saw a My Corner button, which concerned me, but I clicked it out of curiosity and saw this was basically the game's version of a profile. It had their title, their guild, their mate, partner, housing address in game, and other stuff. So that was chapter 1. I was inside of a ship while Akuta, my partner in crime, continued to vomit. I guess the medicine didn't really help. I wasn't really sure what was happening, but I took the opportunity to check out some of the menu items and came across the titles and accolades, which are basically just there to be there. I guess they don't really do much other than add more letters to your screen. But while I realized that Cosplay Sora was going to keep vomiting, I just quickly rushed upstairs and met a little girl on the phone, or maybe asking the magic conch shell some questions. I wasn't really sure, but I wasn't aware that now this wonderful egg friend that I had this entire time as part of my journey had now become a part of my dueling collection. Stunned, I watched the egg hatch, which I didn't know was possible, and become a girl, ready to do battle. And this was apparently how battle companions work, which assist you in, well, battle. Thank God she was there, because I beat up an octopus crab, and without her help, I may have not gotten anywhere. Here, however, is where the game got exciting. In what some may call a bug scene, I found this fascinating. A whale was stuck in animation, while the rest of the NPCs randomly float. I call this the magic of Revelation Online. I was a little concerned for the whale, as that just looked uncomfortable, but I continued on. Alright, so all of this aside, I did go check out one of the dungeons, which when you start out the game, there are things called trials, and it's basically, I guess, like a tower-based challenge where each stage offers a different challenge, and the higher you get, the more points you get, and the more points you get, the higher in the leaderboard you get, and thus even more rewards. So luckily in the second stage, as Sarumonin was explaining how to find the real black jar thing, it was invisible, but I used the intuition of my heart and of my soul, and I just hit some random ones, and I got the right one. I dodged balls and beat up a werewolf thing, and at this point I knew that I was not going to get anywhere to do content, nor was I going to be able to do any of the raids or dungeons basically. Not because of lack of skill, because as you guys saw, I'm a superhero now, so joke's on you if you're making fun of me. But I did take this opportunity to check out the leaderboards and found them practically empty. I figured maybe this was because of my level or whatever the case, but every single dungeon and raid that I checked was empty, pretty much, unless it had maybe 1 or 2 people inside it, so either the game was bugged or it was empty. Now I checked out the cash shop, which I really wanted to avoid, but alas, it continued to offer enhancements for your gear from the cash shop. In addition to that were the level skips, scrolls that would give you treasures, or treasure maps as I now recall, and those treasures would either give you a chance at having amazing gear or materials for your gear, costumes which were all timed to 30 days unless you wanted to spend double to triple the price on a permanent version, mounts which all offered non-combative things such as flying faster or recovering stamina faster, the special skill chapters which could be used to increase your in-game skills, your divine focus and divine Tao, which could be used for level 3 talents or special skills to make them even stronger, packs that offered in-game gold along with some limited time mounts, gold tier weapons and gear, and miscellaneous things. So clearly the pay to win was never adjusted, and when I looked over at the trade record for the recent times or anything, nothing really had changed. Because I guess before this, Nettie saw Blade and Soul and said, you know what, let's do that, let's kind of host our own RMT and make it happen. That clearly did not go well. So I decided to switch my character because maybe things are a little bit different. Maybe the information is very different from being a different character. So I did that and checked out the skill tree. The game does offer your run-of-the-mill skill tree where you can increase your level of certain skills and use blueprints or schematics. I think it actually says schemes, which is very ironic for this situation, but you can use them to quickly change to another layout for your skills. These skills, of course, costed quite a bit of gold in order to level up, and some skills could go even further and be upgraded with additional effects or other things of that nature. I remembered that I had wings, so I used my wings from what seems like eons ago and tried to find my way to a major city. Admittedly, I was not really sure where to go because it's been so long since I had played, and the map itself, at least at first glance, did not look like it really changed, and it pretty much looked the exact same to me since 2017. But again, Mandela effect, and who really knows if I actually am remembering this correctly. So I made it to some random town and remembered the big cat, which at the time this mount was exclusive to North America and Europe. Well, at least the color variant was, and I went to search for a living soul, just literally anybody. Anybody, and I couldn't really find one. But I finally found the main city where players were because I googled it because I couldn't remember how to get there. But I got there, and back in the day, this city would be filled to the brim and like the shit out of my PC as well as everybody else's, and I couldn't really see anyone, especially in the main part. I thought I was hiding players actually, to be perfectly honest, but I remember that back then across this bridge were thousands of players just lagging each other out on purpose, placing stalls, which are just like little stalls where you can sell merchandise and stuff to other players, like gear or materials. And as I got closer, I thought maybe people would pop in, much like the cutscenes where things were popping in. Nothing happened, but I did see one person, and after trying to communicate with them, I realized they were AFK for a few hours. Now, I checked on the guilds in game, and all of them except 2 were inactive, but realistically only 4 were playing the game as it seems, but this could be completely just like misconstrued information. It could just be 2, but as far as I'm aware, 4 guilds basically. I checked the auction house and it was all empty. Not a single thing was being sold for either gold or cash up currency, which is a thing. I joined a random guild, which literally there's a button that says join without approval, so some guilds may allow you just to join in without needing approval or anything. And after a few attempts, I finally found somebody, and I saw that the earliest someone had logged in was 2 hours ago, followed by 2 days ago, followed by 4, then 10, 23 days, a month, 3 days, and then more than that. I decided to check out the leaderboards once again because I thought, you know, maybe my character is different, maybe it'll be different. Yeah, pretty much no one was there. So one last attempt. I thought maybe if I check the map, it'll be occupied by more than 4 guilds because I didn't really look at it last time when I was trying to search for the city. It was just a quick glance, really. I pressed M, crossed my fingers, and closed my eyes and hoped for the best. And I forgot to open them, so I opened them right afterwards. Nope, the same guilds, which were Cathedra, I think I'm saying that correctly, Olympus, Milk Tea, and some other cat guild. That's it. In fact, I saw Olympus recruiting just after I saw this on the map, which was maybe a coincidence. So yeah, is it worth playing, guys? Apart from my joking around and sarcasm, it is actually quite sad to say that I wouldn't recommend anyone playing Revelation Online. The very last update that released for the game, I had checked afterwards when I closed the game, was the Demonic War update that I said early on. The Demonic War update actually released on October 25th, 2021. Ever since then, over a year, it's been nothing but sales and cash shop events, which is starting to give me some PTSD nightmares right now. And even if I were just to look at Steam, like just Steam, in the last 30 days, only 5 people have played on Steam in November, October, and September. If I want to say my.com, let's say maybe an additional 10, just to kind of give them benefit of a doubt. There were 7 people in August, and between 10 to 12 people on average since December 2021. So between December 2021 and December 2022, it's been an average of 10 to 12 people playing this game, on Steam at least. But again, the Steam charts are combined for NAEU, right? I don't actually know how the European servers are for Revelation Online in terms of the my.com servers. Could be completely different, but in terms of North America, it's completely empty, pretty much. So if you're looking for an MMORPG that actually emphasizes on the massively multiplayer part, I don't recommend you look at this game whatsoever. But if you want a world that's open and for some reason still technically considered a beta according to the publisher, then the game is more than open for you and you can just chill out and enjoy the sadness all alone as I did leveling up. It is quite sad though when I compare it back to my memories in 2017, and back then it was filled with players, content creators were hyped to high hell for it. I even hyped it, but not as a content creator because I didn't make videos back then. But even in 2019, the population has been less than 100 on a daily average, and obviously even less in 2020. and so on. So what do you guys think about Revelation Online? Did you guys ever play it back then? Are you going to play it right now? Does this feel like a private server that someone forgot to turn off? Let me know in the comments below and we'll talk about it. I would love to hear some of your stories about Revelation Online. Maybe I could share you some of mine. I feel like I shared more than enough in this video. But yeah, I think those are my thoughts. So if the development and publishing of Revelation Online is any indicator, I can't wait for Justice Online. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and click that adorable f***ing bell to know when I upload a brand new video. And don't forget to come join my Discord if you want to chat and hang out. Much love and as always, till next time friends.